Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I serve as special counsel and the wise man to your tribal chief, Roman Reigns, the undisputed, uncontroverted, unquestioned leader of the Bloodline, the most dominant group in recent memory and in the entire history of WWE.
The Bloodline has all the damn gold!
For nearly 40 years, I have worked for, alongside, and even employed the absolute greatest superstars to ever do it.
Just how dangerous do you want to live?
I've created the Dangerous Alliance, led an extreme revolution with ECW, and managed the most legendary of all champions. And for me, none of that compares to the relationship I've built with the Anoa'i, Fatu, and Maivia families, the triumvirate that composes this dynasty that we know more colloquially as the Bloodline. My time with this family goes back 40 years. I've led them into battle, strategized with them, and have watched their children grow into top-tier superstars who have also created their own impressive legacies. And so it is my great honor to serve as your host for the WWE 2K25 showcase featuring a dynasty like no other, the Bloodline.
When you look at this incredible family tree, this is proof that there is only one royal family in professional wrestling, bound by blood.
A blood bond forged between High Chief Peter Maivia and Amatua Anai Anoa'i, the father of Afa and Sika, the Wild Samoans, created a force that has dominated professional wrestling for over 5 decades. An elite collection boasting names like the Wild Samoans, Afa and Sika, as well as The Rock, Rikishi, Umaga, Yokozuna, Nia Jax, Jimmy and Jey Uso, Solo Seoa, Jacob Fatu, and of course, your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. They've owned championships, filled arenas, packed stadiums, broken box office records, years and decades of dedication to the craft, perfecting their art with each passing generation, ultimately leading us to right here, right now, with the Bloodline having dominated WWE for the last half decade. As your humble wise man, it is my duty to take you through some of the most ferocious battles featuring the greatest warriors in the family. Not everything goes according to plan, and this year we're going to give you a chance to right the historical wrongs and change history to bring more glory to the Bloodline. It's our showcase, after all. Honestly, their only real competition is themselves.
Acknowledge me!
All of this fighting amongst each other, this constant power struggle, no, I won't let all of that ruin this moment. Because it's not just about Solo Seoa or Roman Reigns. It's not just about the Usos. It's about every single member of their family that came before them, who built the lineage and who made them into the superstars that they've become today. It's been said elsewhere that wrestling has more than one royal family. That's undeniably true. Also undeniably true is that for all of those other families, there's only one Bloodline dynasty. In a family that specialized in brute force over the years, perhaps no one better personified this than Rodney Anoa'i, nephew to the Wild Samoans, better known to the WWE Universe as the mighty Yokozuna.
Bloodline!
The family's first world heavyweight champion, Yokozuna arrived to WWE in the fall of 1992. An imposing behemoth, to say the least, Yokozuna would make an immediate statement, winning the 1993 Royal Rumble just a few months after his debut. This victory would grant him a WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 9, where he took on Bret the Hitman Hart. This meteoric rise to the top was only a hint of the dominance Yokozuna would have on WWE for the next year. 2 WWE Championships, a WWE Tag Team Championship, victory over the era's titans like Bret Hart, Undertaker, Lex Luger, and Hulk Hogan.
Yokozuna is my middle name. I'm named after my uncle. I carry it with like so much pride and weight on my shoulders just because of like what he's done for this business and like who he is as a person too. It's a cool middle name to have, man. I represent it with the pride, man, that I have. Hopefully, man, I'm making him proud by doing it.
The manner in which Yokozuna melded incredible size with unspeakable agility shocked the WWE Universe, who to that point were used to their monsters hitting hard but moving slow. Yokozuna broke the mold, punishing opponents with super kicks, uranagis, leg drops, and of course, his devastating banzai drop. A maneuver so effective that once it had connected, nobody kicked out of it. Nobody.
Rodney was a very unique talent. I think the way he was able to handle all the pressure, it was kind of parallel to how he was in the ring. For someone to be so big and to be so nimble, you just don't see that very often. Rodney was one of those first solo guys, singles competitor guys that was able to go out there and really just make waves, make a big splash. I mean, pun intended, I guess. That fool jumped in the pool, he'd knock out all the water, and that's the way it felt sometimes. He would go into those arenas and just suck in all the energy and be able to give it back. So when I look at Rodney, I see someone very similar to me, someone who understands the top, the very, very top of the game, the top position, and everything that goes along with it.
In a career filled with so many highlight reel moments, perhaps nothing stands out more than when Yokozuna faced and defeated the so-called immortal Hulk Hogan at the first King of the Ring event in 1993. Looking to humiliate Hogan after the Hulkster stole Yokozuna's WWE Championship only 2 minutes after Yokozuna defeated Bret Hart for the title months earlier at WrestleMania 9, Yokozuna entered the ring totally focused on the task at hand. And on that night, he not only got revenge, but his victory would send Hogan packing from WWE for nearly 9 years.
Hulk Hogan is finished.
Many felt that Yokozuna had indeed killed Hulkamania. Now you get to possess the power of the mighty Yokozuna and deal out punishment to Hulk Hogan to walk out of the King of the Ring, a 2-time WWE champion. Showcase the ability and the agility that made Yokozuna a Hall of Fame performer and take Hulkamania down. Banzai. Our next chapter sees the showcase spotlight shine on an area in which the family built their legacy: tag team wrestling. Starting with the Wild Samoans, Afa and Sika, all the way through to more recent champions like the Usos or Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. This dynasty has always excelled in tag team competition, consistently showing an ability to dominate the division with a wide variety of looks. And the first team that we will look at, accompanied to the ring by Afa himself.
Fatu and Samu, the Head Shrinkers.
They put the fear in people's hearts. That's what the Head Shrinkers did back in the day. second to none in that ring. You know, hard-nosed, battle-tested. They went for it every single night.
More astute fans may also know that early in their journeys, Samu and Fatu were managed by me, Paul Heyman, then known as
Paul E. Dangerously.
and the SST, the Samoan SWAT team.
The Samoan SWAT team is here. Vengeance is mine.
Already an imposing force that early on, their future greatness was obvious to so many industry experts. Alpha, more than anybody, knew he had the team on his hands, with Samu being his son and Fatu his nephew. The tribal elder was able to mentor both, instilling in them the same unrelenting approach to competition that made the Wild Samoans world famous. The team toured through regional promotions before a quick stop with me in WCW, but WWE was always their goal.
The Hillslingers are coming.
Upon arrival, it was clear that the dynasty's next generation had indeed arrived, immediately drawing comparisons to their world-renowned predecessors. 10 years before it became cool to say, Samu and Fatu displayed ruthless aggression in the ring, overwhelming opponents before the bell and continuing the non-stop attack until their hands were raised in victory. Deceptively agile for men of their size, they brutalized the opposition with devastating dives from the top rope. The duo would eventually go on to capture the WWE Tag Team Championships in the spring of 1994, fulfilling the promise and carrying the legacy to even greater heights. At WrestleMania 9, the Head Shrinkers' one and only in-ring WrestleMania appearance saw them taking on Rick and Scott, the Steiner brothers.
Be prepared, Steiner brothers. We're gonna give you a pain that you have never felt before.
While I'm not one to make excuses, I am one to give opportunities to you, our expert gaming member of the WWE Universe. And so, today, you have the opportunity to make things right. WrestleMania 9, Las Vegas, Nevada. The Steiners performed at a near-perfect level that day, able to find every reversal and in the chaos emerge victorious. We are asking you to fix that, stop them in their tracks, and get the Head Shrinkers that WrestleMania victory you and I both know they deserve. But if you're not careful, you're going to find yourself reliving the very same memories that have haunted Samu and Fatu for years. Steiner lines, suplexes, Frankensteiners that will all bring your evening to a vicious, miserable end. Hey, let's put this in the simplest of all terms. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the biggest celebrity on the face of the planet today. Now, whether he's a blue chipper, the people's champion, or as we know him right now, the final boss, The Rock has always commanded all of the attention in the arena since the very first moment he made his WWE debut at the 1996 Survivor Series. Born into this business, The Rock would become WWE's first ever third-generation superstar, following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. Who had competed in WWE rings before him.
Dwayne had the huge responsibility. There's a legacy, and you have to take it so seriously.
Even with incredibly high expectations, the Great One surpassed them all, along with the usual achievements if your name is The Rock: 2 Intercontinental Championships, 5 Tag Team Championships, 8 WWE Heavyweight Championships, a Royal Rumble victory, not even to forget the fact that The Rock once led an entire nation. The Rock has one of the more noteworthy feats in WWE history, earning WrestleMania victories over Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and John Cena. Each of these men are known as the faces of their respective era. Each of these men found out what happens when you go one-on-one. Oh, you know the rest. Of course, The Rock rivaled Stone Cold Steve Austin's popularity during the vaunted Attitude Era, tearing opponents down with rock bottoms and people's elbows while tearing them apart on the mic with cutting one-liners and catchphrases that are still recited to this day.
If you smell, know your role and shut your mouth.
He ended CM Punk's 434-day title reign as WWE Champion at the 2013 Royal Rumble as well, after having only competed twice over the previous 9 years, displaying the always-ready mentality and physical conditioning on which he has built his global brand. But you don't need me to rattle off The Rock's resume to you, now do you? Of course not. The man is an occasion unto himself. He has headlined the biggest events against WWE's most iconic superstars and has always found a way to, how does he put it? Layeth the smackdown on some jabroni's candy ass. I couldn't have said it better myself, although I think I may have just done that. But indeed, he has. On a Thursday night in February of 1997, The Rock, still known as Rocky Maivia, would find himself challenging for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Only a few months into his tenure, he would be matched up against a face that would ultimately become one of his most familiar and hated rivals, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Seemingly overmatched by a more seasoned opponent, a youthful Rock would demonstrate all the traits that have come to define him in the years since. Tenacity, high IQ, and that legendary Samoan strength to ultimately surprise Helmsley and kick off the first championship reign for Rocky Maivia. It would be the first step of a journey that has ultimately led The Rock into the pantheon of WWE's elite. So now it's all in your hands. It's up to you to showcase the undying drive that makes The Rock the hardest worker in the room to deliver a shocking upset against the Greenwich snob himself. Guide The Rock to victory over Triple H at a very special Thursday, Raw Thursday, to give the first jolts to what would become the most electrifying career in sports entertainment. In a family of elite combat athletes and top-tier performers, the final boss has always stood out, even when he was just a blue chipper. But there wouldn't be a final boss. There wouldn't even be a bloodline if it wasn't for The Rock's grandfather, the High Chief Peter Maivia. You can think of him as the first boss. Predecessor to the tribal chief.
He is one of, if not the foundation for our family. The Anoa'i Fatu Maivia wrestling dynasty. I don't think there's anybody more responsible for what's going on now than the High Chief himself.
Peter Maivia isn't simply one of the two principals behind the sacred blood bond. He's also an incredibly decorated professional wrestler who traveled the world and won titles everywhere he went. New Zealand, Japan, Europe, and here in the United States, where he enjoyed especially successful runs in Hawaii and California. Maivia would eventually find his way to WWE, engaging in legendary battles with the likes of superstar Billy Graham. His larger-than-life personality would win the WWE Universe over in short order, as it had throughout his entire career. In the ring, High Chief Peter Maivia was a potent blend of brawn and grappling technique, often muscling his opponents down to the mat through a variety of joint locks and then switching to more painful holds once grounded. His sleeper hold and stump puller were both feared and renowned, and make no mistake about it, Maivia knew there was always more than one path to the ultimate victory. Out of the ring, High Chief Peter Maivia also ran one of the most successful wrestling promotions on the planet, Polynesian Pro Wrestling, based out of Hawaii, showing his mastery of the business in every aspect. His induction into WWE's Hall of Fame class of 2008 was supremely deserved, forever enshrining Peter Maivia as the legend he always was. And now, we present to you the opportunity to walk in the boots of the legendary High Chief Peter Maivia, facing off against one of the most legendary WWE rivals, George the Animal Steele. You will settle this score once and forever, and showcase the overwhelming strength of Peter Maivia, which has ever since remained as a hallmark for every single solitary member of this bloodline. Steele is no easy battle, though. He thrives in the chaos, one of pro wrestling's true madmen. He'll even try to eat part of the ring if he thinks it'll help him break you down. So do your best and honor High Chief Peter Maivia properly with a resounding victory. She's not like most girls. She's also not like most WWE superstars. Nia Jax, the reigning queen of the ring, is a reckoning, a force of nature that blitzes right through her competition. A cousin of The Rock, Nia Jax arrived in NXT almost 10 years ago with astronomical expectations. Undaunted, Nia Jax would dominate early opponents, finding herself competing for the NXT Women's Championship mere months after her debut. It did not take long for those running Raw and SmackDown to take notice.
Well, our next pick, Nia Jax!
And Nia Jax would join the Raw roster as part of the 2016 draft lottery. And since joining the main roster, absolutely no one has been safe from Nia Jax. She is a two-time women's champion. She is a two-time women's tag team champion. She competed in the men's Royal Rumble match in 2019, even getting an elimination while in the ring.
Nia Jax looking to eliminate. She does.
She's battled standouts like Charlotte, Bayley, and Becky Lynch. And all the while, she has left undeniable destruction in her wake. In the ring, she applies many of the same tactics that once benefited Yokozuna, even using her own version of the Banzai Drop, known as the Annihilator. And just like its namesake, if it connects, your night is over. And Nia Jax remains driven for even more success, jumping at any opportunity to prove her dominance. This last year, that included entering into the 2024 Queen of the Ring tournament after earning victories over Naomi, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair. Nia Jax would fight her way into the finals, taking on former NXT Women's Champion Lyra Valkyria. Valkyria built a lot of momentum, defeating Dakota Kai, Zoe Stark, and Io Sky to punch her ticket into the final at the Queen and King of the Ring. With an obvious game plan, Lyra would look to stick and move, avoiding the colossal attacks of her opponent. Unfortunately, as often happens when competing against Nia Jax, Lyra made one miscalculation, and that error in judgment provided Nia Jax with the opening she needed to annihilate her competition. This is your opportunity to crown the first queen in Bloodline history. Make Lyra suffer. Make her regret ever entering your ring. Showcase the otherworldly power that forces an entire roster to cower in your presence. Because when you're an irresistible force like Nia Jax, resistance is futile. I'm sure you will agree with your wise man. Many WWE superstars say they will do whatever it takes in order to achieve success. Quite often, it's a bunch of BS. But if you're lucky, you may run into someone who is willing to look out for the group. Someone willing to make sacrifices. And for this family, there was no one better than Rikishi. After the Head Shrinkers run in WWE came to an end, Rikishi, then known as Fatu, would go on a journey of self-discovery. This journey would lead to him taking on the name Rikishi, a subtle nod to his cousin Yokozuna, as well as an opportunity to start fresh with a global audience.
Well, my dad, when he became the Rikishi character, when you think about Samoan wrestlers, right, or mean, or aggressive, he made it like his own flavor, right? He had the blonde hair, still carried the aggressiveness, but I think he just wanted to add like a little flavor to it. But it became even more popular to our culture.
Rikishi blitzed WWE from the jump, devastating opponents with new tricks and winning people over with his fat-ass dance moves.
That Rikishi is fat, all right. P-H-A-T.
And with this wave of newfound momentum came even more success, with Rikishi capturing the WWE Intercontinental Championship and displaying incredible athleticism in iconic moments like when he dove off the top of the steel cage. The year 2000 belonged to Rikishi. But little did anyone know, Rikishi held a dark secret regarding a decision he'd made not for his own benefit, but for the benefit of the family. It was at the 1999 Survivor Series that Stone Cold Steve Austin was hit by a car in the arena parking lot, forcing him from the main event later that night for the WWE Championship. For nearly a year, all of WWE was consumed with figuring out who was driving that damn car and why Austin was targeted in the first place. The verdict came in. The car was driven by Rikishi. Rikishi would stand strong.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. I didn't do it for me. I did it for The Rock.
What?
Rikishi would lay out a years-long gripe that WWE preferred Steve Austin to The Rock, and so Rikishi had made sure that The Rock's only competition had been removed from the picture. Rikishi sacrificed his own popularity to reach this goal. The Rock thrived while Austin was on the shelf. For Rikishi, the struggle and fall was all worth it. Rikishi knew that he would eventually have to face off with the Texas Rattlesnake to answer for his sins, and he welcomed that meeting with open arms. What Rikishi was unprepared for was for WWE to stack the deck entirely, looking to make Rikishi pay for taking out their golden goose. Stone Cold Steve Austin was allowed to drive his truck directly to the ring and was generally given the freedom to do whatever the hell he wanted in the name of revenge. We are going to make things right. This time, when Rikishi and Stone Cold Steve Austin lock horns, there will be no stacking of the deck. Someone willing to give of himself so that his family, this family, can succeed, deserves better. So get in there and showcase the never say die spirit that has led this family to victory time and time and time and time and time and time again. Use whatever weapon you can get your hands on and prove to Stone Cold Steve Austin that you will do anything for the people. His arrival signaled impending doom. His very presence was enough to intimidate even the bravest WWE competitor. His name itself simply meant the end. And if you found yourself standing across the ring from Umaga, you were most certainly coming to the end of your own road. The younger brother of Rikishi, Umaga, was every bit the Samoan bulldozer that his nickname would suggest, mauling opponents with ease, relishing the chaos that he created. A menace to the entire roster, an unrepentant badass, Umaga tortured his prey with high-impact collisions before ultimately sealing their fate with his vaunted Samoan spike, a vicious move used today by Solo Sikoa.
Inside the ring, man, he was just a complete monster. Anybody that stood in front of him, he was gonna wreck him no matter what he had to do. He was just a crazy Wild Samoan. Outside of the ring, man, just a loving guy to be around. A fun uncle, always joking, always barbecuing at his house. I always looked up to him. He was just so cool.
Perhaps an unheralded aspect of Umaga's game was his mastery of mental warfare. Umaga loved to present a wild, out-of-control savage, one who needed manager Armando Alejandro Estrada to handle all the details while he destroyed opponents. Umaga was the perfect definition of the word aura. A two-time intercontinental heavyweight champion, Umaga established himself as one of the purest forms of dominance to ever set foot in a WWE ring. His intense clashes with Batista, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, and Triple H, along with WWE Championship battles against John Cena, still live on in the memories of those who were fortunate enough to watch Umaga perform. And Umaga will live in immortality through every member of this family, whether it's with a huge Samoan drop, a running bulldozer into the corner, a Samoan spike, or even a war cry in the middle of battle. Umaga is forever.
I wish he was here. I know he's watching from above.
So you, our beloved Us in training, are asked one simple thing here in the WWE 2K25 showcase. to defeat John Cena. You've done that in this mode before, right? Simple. It was at New Year's Revolution in 2007 that Umaga and John Cena first collided for the WWE title. Umaga appeared to be too much for Cena in the minds of many pundits. Undefeated in WWE some 9 months after his debut, and things were going very well for Umaga. Until they weren't. Umaga would see his undefeated streak end by, of all things, a damn roll-up after rushing directly into the outstretched shoes of John Cena. 1 second of luck allowed John Cena to escape the inevitable, and now it's on you to fix it. Head into that ring. Showcase Umaga's cruel brutality and get Umaga the WWE Heavyweight Championship victory that he should have gotten in the first place. I assure you, my dear friend, Armando Alejandro Estrada will make sure nothing else goes wrong if you take care of business inside the ring. Hey, in WWE, things move really fast. If you aren't present in the moment, it can feel like a year goes by in only 2 or 3 minutes. That's why you always have to make time to make sure that you check. Hold on. Did I just hear myself say 3 minutes? Stop. Can you believe I'm actually doing Eric Bischoff's shtick? In the early 2000s, few words sent a shudder through the roster like the words 3 minutes, summoning the fearsome duo of Rosie and Jamal, collectively known as the 3-minute warning. Initially hired by the aforementioned Raw general manager Eric Bischoff to interrupt anything he didn't find to be entertaining.
You're just not entertaining me. 3 minutes are just about up.
The two instantly made their mark in WWE with their complete and total decimation of anyone that was targeted. Their formula was really simple. 2 bruisers with surprising quickness who took pleasure in throwing opponents all around the ring with reckless abandon. And the trail of bodies left in their wake remains a testament to their devastation. Rosie, older brother of your tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and Jamal, who would in time develop his skills further and take the name of Umaga, were about instant gratification. They treated matches like a race, seeing how much damage they could fit into the shortest time possible.
The 3-minute warning with my brother and my cousin, it was just one of the coolest gimmicks of all time to me. It was catchy, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of knew what was happening. And I feel like we all remember when the 3-minute warning hit for the first time. You know, the whole Den TV area just lit up.
Every match was a train wreck, as the two would use their size to overwhelm most opponents, coupling that with incredible tag team maneuvers to increase the carnage to its maximum levels. That approach, maximizing damage while minimizing time, was a 3-minute warning signature. The team itself saw its run in WWE last for a little over a year, but in that time managed to make such an impression with the WWE Universe that it still resonates today. They are proof of the impact anyone can make if they capitalize on their opportunities, as 3-minute warning did every single time.
It was a short-lived gimmick, but it was a really cool gimmick, and I just think it shows the versatility of, hey, if you need us to go out there and tell you a Broadway story, I'll cover 2 hours if you like. But if you need us to come out in 3 minutes to make an impact, we can do that too. But you gotta be really good to be thrown in there with the very, very best in the industry. I'm getting all pumped and proud, for my brother and my cousin right now, just thinking about it.
Here in the WWE 2K25 Showcase, we have selected another team that embodies the same mindset in Akam and Razor, the AOP. Similar to Jamal and Rosie, these two look to inflict the most pain in the most efficient manner. Like 3-minute warning, AOP happily dispatches when summoned. Like 3-minute warning, AOP features 2 Goliaths who will hurl your body from pillar to post before finally bringing it all to a most painful conclusion. It's up to you in this Extreme Rules contest to beat the AOP to the punch and showcase the Wrecking Crew approach that made 3-minute warning the premier bruiser squad in all of WWE. And don't worry, we will give you more than 3 minutes to make that fact perfectly clear. As a matter of fact, take your time and enjoy dishing out the punishment. We've come to the part of the showcase where we get to talk about Tamina. Ever since walking in WWE, shoulder to shoulder with the Usos, Tamina's alliance with this dynasty has never been in question.
I remember watching Monday Night Raw and I seen Tamina debut with my brothers. It was a pretty cool, dynamic, right? 2 of my brothers and Tamina.
Together, Tamina and the Usos helped each other navigate through a trial-filled first year in WWE, making sure they all survived together. In later years, Tamina has formed alliances with both Naomi and Nia Jax, honoring this family's connection. While Tamina has looked to create her own name in the industry, she has never missed a chance to acknowledge her place in this family either. Trained by Afa and Sika, the Wild Samoans, Tamina was instilled with the same instincts that have carried each member of this family to wrestling glory. Her in-ring approach is similar to many in the Bloodline. Quick striking, high-impact attacks, and smothering holds. As capable with a super kick or a big splash as anyone else, Tamina has maintained a remarkable level of success in her WWE career. A constant contender, Tamina has competed for the Women's Championship on many occasions. She's also held the Women's Tag Team Championships along with 9 separate reigns as the 24/7 champion. Tamina has proven capable in any environment against any opponent. Tamina is always the perfect test for a rising contender. Defeating Tamina proves that you're at the top of your game, and she will always expose those who aren't quite ready yet. Taking her lightly is the easiest way to book your visit to the local medical facility. Tamina has taken part in many memorable moments, but in the 2K25 Showcase, we're going to give you the chance to make history. In the first ever women's Money in the Bank match, Carmella, of all people, would walk out victorious after letting someone else do all the work. Tamina, Becky Lynch, Natalya, and Charlotte Flair were all robbed of a great opportunity that night by Carmella. So this is your chance to make it right. Showcase Tamina's grit and take out the other 4 ladies in this ladder match to become the first ever winner of the Women's Money in the Bank. Carmella might still sneak out with the win, but if she does, she's doing it on her own because we're not allowing anyone else at ringside for this match in our showcase. Any member of this family that enters the professional wrestling business knows about the expectations that are gonna be on their back. They know about the prestige that their very name carries. They know that those who came before them have accomplished so much. Bearing the weight of those legacies can prove to be way too much for almost anyone. But that was never the case for Jimmy and Jey Uso. Jimmy and Jey Uso looked to be stars from the very start, constantly evolving their look, style, and offense as they progressed in their careers. Face paint and war dances would fade away, and the two would embrace the day one-ish mentality, looking to punish opponents and send them to the Uso Penitentiary. The Usos are 8-time WWE Tag Team Champions. The Usos have main evented WrestleMania after initially fighting for a mere spot on the card. The Usos were the premier team of the 2010s. The Usos are the greatest team of all time. Jimmy and Jey are poetry in motion, each knowing what the other is looking to do next, each using every bit of savvy they gained growing up in professional wrestling to keep their edge. And sure, in recent years, it's been difficult between the two. Jimmy did cost Jey his match at SummerSlam against your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. After months of the anger building between the two, Jimmy and Jey ended up as the first two entrants in the 2024 Royal Rumble match, bringing things to a head. But even that moment wasn't enough to settle the issue, and so they would fight again at WrestleMania 40. Jey Uso truly became main event and found his inner yeet, even adding another tag team championship with Cody Rhodes as his partner. As your wise man eventually would suffer as well, Jimmy found himself betrayed by Solo Seoa and unceremoniously dumped out of Solo's version of the Bloodline. When Jimmy and Jey are a tag team, they are pure art. They are the reason for the resurgence of tag team wrestling's popularity over the last 15 years. And perhaps, oh, perhaps, their grandest moment came during the 2017 Hell in a Cell, when they would lock horns with perhaps their greatest opposition ever, The New Day. From July to October of that year, the SmackDown Tag Team titles would change hands 4 times between the two teams, both looking for ultimate bragging rights. The Usos' connection as twins always gave them an upper hand with most teams. But the New Day had their own trick, utilizing the Freebird rule to allow any 2 of the 3 members to compete in any match. Jimmy and Jey could never know for sure who the opponents would be, with a different game plan needed for each iteration. With nothing clearly settled after 4 months, the New Day would offer to defend inside Hell in a Cell, and the Usos gladly accepted. We've seen the Usos showcase tag team wrestling at its most beautiful. Now we want you to showcase the brutality that exists within Hell in a Cell. Big E and Xavier Woods are going to use everything at their disposal to take you down. But you've been down since day one. Now it's time to force the New Day to realize there's nothing wrong with them being in second place. And there's nothing that's stopping you inside hell in a cell. Next on our showcase is someone who wasn't born into this family, but has put in the time and more than earned her spot. She's always happy to leave haters in the rear view, and when she enters the room, you will undoubtedly feel the glow. Of course, I'm talking about Naomi, who many of you may know has reigned as Jimmy Uso's wife and queen for over 10 years. There's the old saying that behind every good man is an even better woman, and this could not ring more true than Naomi, who I will say is an absolute treasure. Jimmy will frequently speak during old Bloodline planning sessions about how much her support and love drove him to improve as a superstar, always stressing her importance not only to the WWE Women's Division, but to his career and his life as well. In the ring, there is no denying Naomi's skills. The former women's tag team and two-time SmackDown Women's Champion has the mental tenacity to push through the toughest part of any match and possesses breathtaking physical skills. Naomi uses her dancing background to constantly innovate with her offense, resulting in some of the most beautiful moves you will ever see, unless you're on the receiving end of them. Naomi is an inspiration to so many of our younger members of the WWE Universe, showing a new generation that anything is possible if you just put in the work and never stop believing in yourself. Naomi has battled against the very best in the women's division, taking on foes like Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Shayna Baszler, and Io Sky.
My favorite moment of Naomi was when she won the title in her hometown, Orlando, at WrestleMania.
To compete against that caliber and maintain the level of success that Naomi has for her entire WWE career is something worth, shall I dare say, acknowledging. Naomi has even teamed with fellow family member Tamina through the years, proving the family you choose can often be the most important. And in true Uso fashion, Naomi shows an unrelenting desire to win, to achieve greatness, and to dominate her opposition. Many mistake her smile as a sign of kindness, but they quickly realize their mistake as Naomi unleashes a flurry of kicks, flies at them with moonsaults from all angles, and then ties them up in knots. Naomi is having fun, but Naomi is never playing. And now, we take you back to the 2020 edition of Super Showdown, which saw Naomi challenge Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Unfortunately, a ridiculously lax referee decided it was just fine for Bayley to basically do whatever the hell she wanted.
Bayley's, oh my gosh, she's trapping Naomi's legs in her shirt.
And Naomi wound up suffering an embarrassing loss after Bayley used wardrobe to her advantage. Well, Bayley, we can pretty much guarantee That trick won't work again. This is your chance to help guide Naomi to a third SmackDown Women's Championship, and to do it by defeating one of the greatest competitors WWE has ever seen. Your wise man has nothing but respect and admiration for Bayley's abilities, but those abilities are eclipsed by Naomi's extraordinary trinity: smarts, strength, and aerial attacks that should give all of you everything you need to get the win and the title. Ladies and gentlemen, if it weren't for the next two superstars in our showcase, none of this would be possible. Because without Atha and Sika, without the Wild Samoans, there truly is no dynasty. While it was their father who made the blood oath with High Chief Peter Maivia, it was Atha and Sika who built the family up, training generations of relatives, all with the single goal of becoming the best professional wrestler on the face of the planet. And while the two would together be WWE Hall of Famers, based solely on their work as trainers and cultivators of the next generation, their in-ring successes only add to their immortality. Atha and Sika formed WWE's most dominant tag team of the early 1980s, fighting their way to the WWE Tag Team Championship on 3 separate occasions. Opponents were often defeated before the bell even rang to start the match, falling victim to the aura and the intimidation factor of having to step into the ring with the Wild Samoans, accompanied by Captain Lou Albano. The trio formed a masterful group that was able to take all opponents off their game, be it through Albano's devious schemes or the overpowering nature of the Wild Samoans. WWE had never dealt with a team so primal, turning each match into a battle of survival. Most feared, the deadly Samoan drop, a move that has been imitated by many, but duplicated only by a chosen few.
There they are, the Wild Samoans.
These are immigrants coming from the island, trying to figure it out, trying to find a way. I couldn't imagine being these men. I couldn't imagine taking on these responsibilities of setting the tone in a whole new country. And then trying to break into entertainment on top of that. But they made it work. And that's what we are. We're workers. We make it work.
These tribal elders set the standard for all of their descendants to not only follow, but they also taught their descendants how to surpass it. So beloved were the two that perhaps no moment holds more significance to your tribal chief, Roman Reigns, than when he was presented the Ula Fala by his father Sika and Uncle Atha after the 2020 Hell in a Cell event. You see, it was their acknowledgement that gave Roman Reigns the unshakable confidence to continue his journey to becoming the greatest of all time.
The utmost respect, love, and gratitude for those men. Because if my father and uncle don't do what they do, We're not here.
We now humbly present to you the honor of walking in the famed footsteps of the Wild Samoans, finding a tag team in WWE's long and storied history that we felt would test the Wild Samoans was not an easy task. But then, a thought came to your wise man. Why not give the audience exactly what they want? Why not put the Wild Samoans against one of the greatest tag teams of all time? Why not present Alpha, Sika, the Wild Samoans versus Bubba Ray and Devon, the Dudley Boys? And if we're going to go that far, let's do it in a tables match. Showcase that savage brutality that made both teams the eternal legends we know them to be. No pinfalls, no submissions, no rules. Just be the team that avoids being put through the table, and you will emerge victorious. And with these 4 men, you better believe that things are going to get extreme. From the very moment he arrived as the enforcer of the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa has taken every brutal, savage element of his predecessors and refined them into a near-perfect smashing machine. Even in the year before his arrival, Solo raised eyebrows and garnered buzz while competing in NXT. But nobody could have predicted just how smoothly his transition to the main roster would go. And before I go on any further, let me make one thing perfectly clear. I'm only saying what I'm saying about Solo Sikoa because I am a wise man. I'm a professional. And because I'm being handsomely compensated for my stellar work as your host of the WWE 2K25 Showcase. I haven't forgotten what Solo Sikoa and his rogue bloodline did to me. But I also know better than to let personal feelings hinder your professional endeavors. So with that being said, since his arrival at Clash at the Castle in 2022, Solo Sikoa has consistently been involved in WWE's biggest moments and biggest matches. He's been victorious in Wargames. He's repeatedly enforced the Bloodline's will to maintain Roman Reigns' status as undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion.
I brought Solo in as an insurance policy. Solo was here to protect me. Solo was here to maintain the promised land. He's violent. He's strong, he's fast, he's all those things. And he betrayed me. Any man who would betray me must be a very dangerous man.
Solo defeated John Cena. Solo elected to betray your tribal chief, Roman Reigns, in an attempt to bestow upon himself the title of tribal chief. When I refused to acknowledge Solo as my tribal chief, you are not my tribal. He, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu put me through a table in Madison Square Garden. And that led to opportunities to compete for the undisputed WWE Heavyweight Championship. It's led to more visibility with Solo's rogue bloodline ruling over SmackDown. Every choice Solo made only furthered his standing in WWE. He has the bloodlust of the Wild Samoans, the brutality of his cousin Yokozuna, and the single-minded focus of Roman Reigns, all rolled into one. There is no question the future is his for the taking, and that he will be champion many times over, and that he may set records of his own before it's all said and done. Few men have so quickly served notice to all of WWE in the manner that Solo Sikoa has done. Whether you want to acknowledge him or not is irrelevant. One way or another, Solo Sikoa forces you to do just that, or you will suffer severe consequences. One by one, each and every single superstar on the WWE roster is going to find that out. Solo will make sure of it. I, of course, will simply await any and every opportunity for your tribal chief, Roman Reigns, to teach Solo some manners. Until that happens, though, we are taking you back to the 1-year anniversary special for NXT 2.0, which saw then North American champion Carmelo Hayes, and indeed, he is him, issue an open challenge. Unfortunately for the future superstar, it was to be answered by Solo Sikoa, and things went as well for Hayes as you can probably guess. Showcase the unrelenting fury that has made Solo Sikoa nearly unstoppable, and defeat Carmelo Hayes to earn Solo his first championship victory. It won't be easy against Carmelo, especially when he has Trick Williams watching his back. And if you make one mistake against the champ, he'll take his shot and most likely hit nothing but net. I ain't doing this one. We can have all the fun we want with these video games and this showcase and these fantasy matchups like Offensica versus Bubba Ray and Devon. I'm not doing shtick about Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. That's a little too volatile. And it's way too personal for Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins came up together in the Shield. And Seth Rollins took it upon himself to disband the Shield by blindsiding Roman Reigns with a chair. At WrestleMania 31, Roman Reigns, in the main event of WrestleMania, was about to win the WWE title when Seth Rollins cashed in Money in the Bank and stole the main event, the match, and the title from Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns lost the undisputed championship after almost 4 years, the greatest title reign of all time, to Cody Rhodes. Not because Cody Rhodes was the better man, but because Seth Rollins was right there. And the seduction, the bloodlust that Roman Reigns had for that moment of revenge was too much for Roman Reigns to give up. And for the first time in Roman Reigns' life, he took his eye off the ball for that much time and smashed Seth Rollins with a chair, the same way Seth did a decade earlier to Roman. And that moment gave Cody Rhodes all he needed to end the most historic title reign in WWE history. I'm supposed to do shtick about Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for a showcase? I mean, it's smart, because the next time Roman Reigns steps into the ring with Seth Rollins will be the last time Seth Rollins steps into a ring. Next time Roman Reigns gets his hands on Seth Rollins, you won't have your architect anymore. You won't have your visionary anymore. You won't have your revolutionary anymore. You will have your tribal chief, Roman Reigns, but you'll never again have Seth freaking Rollins. Roman Reigns will put an end to Seth Rollins in WWE. And then the only way you'll ever be able to see Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins will be in the WWE 2K25 showcase. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins from the 2022 Royal Rumble. And that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. I'm the last guy to knock a revolution. I've led a few of those, you know. I admire revolutionaries. I respect evolutionaries. They are the lifeblood of the bloodline. So when Solo Sikoa seized the moment and became the tribal chief in Roman Reigns' absence, I didn't like it. I don't even think I respected it. But something deep down in me admired it. That took some forward thinking.
I'm the chief now!
Now we all know what happened when the OG bloodline, led by Roman Reigns, faced the new rogue bloodline, led by Solo Sikoa, in the Wargames. But there was a discussion here while planning the WWE 2K25 showcase that has me, your wise man, admittedly a little intrigued. What if Wargames was limited to only OG bloodline, no honorary uses, versus Solo's rogue bloodline, no honorary uses? It's 4-on-4 Roman Reigns. The Usos, Sami Zayn, versus Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and the most dangerous new competitor WWE has ever seen, the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu. What happens then? This is your moment to determine who is the real bloodline. This is your moment to determine who is the only bloodline. This is where the bloodline's legacy and the bloodline's future is in your hands. Okay, a little bit out of character for your wise man, but that was a little bit difficult for me to watch. Seeing this family splinter into two groups, fighting against each other, it breaks my dark heart. But they're all grown men, and you settled the issue. Now let's give Solo credit. Forming Team Solo was, of course, his usual backup of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, the sons of Haku, feared as one of the baddest men to ever walk planet Earth. Along with them, the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, son of Tama, also known as TK All Day, the Tonga Kid, another fearsome competitor from WWE's golden era. But did you know that Haku and Tama once comprised one of WWE's most impressive tag teams? Haku had been considered family by the Dynasty for years on end, and his teaming with Tama, brother of Rikishi, solidified this for eternity. The Islanders were a formidable test for any tag team in WWE in the late 1980s, competing against teams like the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs. Initially fan favorites, the two would embrace a more hard-nosed approach and even teamed up with WWE Hall of Famer Bobby the Brain Heenan, finding even more success. The team flawlessly merged aerial excellence, martial arts mastery, and some good old-fashioned Islander grit. Perhaps their most infamous moment saw them actually dog-nap Matilda, mascot of the British Bulldogs, showing that they were willing to do literally anything to throw opponents off their game. Both men are still revered today as two of the real legit tough guys in the industry, names that instill fear simply upon mention, and they absolutely taught their children well. Tama Tonga and Tongaloa both loved to slowly brutalize an opponent in the traditional Haku style, while Jacob Fatu hurls his body at opponents from all angles with reckless abandon, much like Islander Tama in his TK All Day heyday. For their inclusion in the 2K25 showcase, we find the Islanders in a dream match, taking on another team that has mastered the air, ground fighting, and has their own brand of swag that keeps opponents guessing at all times. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the Street Profits. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins have put together one hell of a run in WWE, and the perennial tag team champions are going to find themselves in an unfamiliar setting, taking on Haku and Tama in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. Anyone can sneak a win out, but Haku and Tama often competed in this type of match to fully demonstrate the superiority to their opponents. And you can bet that they're out to do the same thing to Angelo and Tez. So get out there and showcase the tag team mastery that the Islanders used to terrorize their opponents. Lift your party cups and take one last sip for the Street Profits. And don't worry, no one will hold you responsible for the damage you and the Islanders caused them, because I assure you, the Islanders can handle the smoke. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have the words to convey how proud I am to have been part of this historic showcase. Having worked alongside this family, this bloodline, for so many decades, reliving moments that I got to experience firsthand has been a privilege of the highest order. Introducing you to WWE legends that I hold in such high esteem, and also spotlighting the modern day greatness their descendants have provided you in recent years, all to pay tribute to the greatest wrestling family I have ever known, has truly been my privilege. To be successful in this industry is a 1 in a billion chance. To see one bloodline continuously pump out superstar after superstar, champion after champion, generation after generation, is a testament not only to the skills they possess, but also to the work they put in to become absolute masters of their craft. And it cannot be stated any other way. This dynasty, this family, this bloodline has mastered every single solitary aspect of professional wrestling. And by reliving their magnificent history, you've begun your path of mastery as well. You've conquered former champions, righted some very egregious historical wrongs, survived war games, and even settled the question as to who the true tribal chief really is. You've unlocked WWE legends who are now ready to unleash their special brand of offense on current WWE superstars who didn't think they'd ever have to face these classic competitors like Haku or the Wild Samoans. It wasn't easy, and you definitely had to get a little oozy along the way. But you showed that bloodline spirit and determination, and now you stand at the top of the mountain. On behalf of WWE and the 2K families, we all thank you so very much for playing. And on behalf of every fan of this beautiful performance art known as professional wrestling, we thank you, the Anoa'i, Fatu, and Maivia clans, for decades of entertainment and generations of pure brilliance, for creating greatness with your hard work and sharing it with all of us so freely. Before we go, we do have one last surprise for you at home. Now that you've showcased your skills and earned a spot as an honorary Us, it's time for you to choose who rules your WWE universe as the tribal chief. Is Roman Reigns still your tribal chief, or have you thrown in with the attempted coup by Solo Sikoa? Do you want to see Tamina finally rule over everyone, or is it TK all day, every day, don't you say? Regardless of who you choose, you've earned the right to acknowledge your tribal